Today's scripture reading brings us to Proverbs chapter 31, last chapter in the book. And this proverb is from King Lemuel. And as we look at this, it's of course, the majority of this chapter is the virtuous woman, and I think probably you're familiar with a lot of that. But as you look at this, there's one thing that I do want you to notice, and that is verse number 1, the words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. So as we read this chapter, understand that this is not necessarily the wisdom from King Lemuel. He was wise enough to parlay this into, sharing it with others, but this is the wisdom of his mother. His mother had taught him this. So as you look at the virtuous woman section, it brings it really, I think, to a whole new light in that this is from a woman who has walked the walk. This is not what a man simply thinks what a woman should be, but this is the wisdom from God through her unto him of a virtuous woman. But before we get to that, we need to look at a few verses here, and I want to clear up some preconceived, I don't know if it's preconceived notions or if it's just incorrect notions concerning verses 6 and 7. Verse number 6 and 7 say this: give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Now, some people take this to mean that, you take a strong drink is kind of like morphine. Give that unto those that are ready to die as like, a numbing agent. But then that really doesn't explain the second part, because it sounds like God's saying, open up the beer taps and give it to those that are sad. So I'm going to give you what is, I think, the most important principle upon biblical reading, and that is context, the contextual principle, the before and after. Make sure that you're not leaving something out, because if you're only reading verses 6 and 7, then you're leaving something out that pertains to those verses, and it's found in verses 4 and 5. So in verse number 4, she says this: it is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. So if you read this in context, like I said, it takes up a whole new light, because, again, God is not saying really that you should give strong drink unto anybody or the wine unto those that are sad. That's not the purpose of verses 6 and 7. The purpose of verses 6 and 7 is to look at the contrast between verses 4 and 5. And so what she is saying is, it's not for kings to drink. You shouldn't do that, because this is what will happen. Give strong drink unto them. Let them drink wine. Okay, and so if we were to liken this unto you and I, because this pertains unto you and I, we're not kings, but we certainly are heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ. This would be akin to saying something along these lines. It's not good for Christians to drink. Christians should not drink because it'll pervert their judgment. It'll give them a poor testimony. Let the heathen drink. Let them drink, right? That's kind of what it is akin to saying. You have to understand that you have responsibilities, and if you do this, it's going to hinder your responsibilities. Just as Christians, we have responsibilities, and if we are to drink wine or strong drink, then it will hinder our responsibilities as Christians. You can expect the pigs to grunt. You can expect the lost to drink. Let them drink, right? They have reason to drink. They don't have what you and I have. They don't have standing with the king like you and I have. Let them drink, because there's a difference between the saved and the lost. So it's certainly not advocating for them to drink, but what it is, again, it is comparing the two, the king and his roles and responsibilities versus those that have none. All right, moving on. Let's look at, of course, like I said, verses 10 through 31 speak of a virtuous woman, and I've already spoken that this is coming from the perspective of a virtuous, wise woman. So make sure that you read it in that context. This is not, once again, a man saying this is how a woman ought to be. This is from a woman who obviously is wise, as God has used her to give the wisdom that King Lemuel is pinning down, for as one that has walked the walk and knows what she is talking about. I think if you were to take this entirety of the virtuous woman, and if you were to go to one thing that you'll notice is speaks of her hands and her loins and her arms and her hands several times, her mouth, and attributes that will come forth from this woman. But I think if you take it all the way down to verse number 30, it is the summation of it all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord shall be praised. If a woman will have fear of the Lord and will look to the Lord's guidance on how she should behave, she'll be a virtuous woman. And if she don't, she won't. I think that really says it all. That's the key, is the fear of the Lord. And in verse number 31, give her the fruit of her hands and let her own works praise her in the gates. We men ought to praise our virtuous women. You know, I thank God that I have one, and we should be full of praise unto them, but they don't even need it. A virtuous woman, her works are praise enough. They're known by others in the gates, praise her in the gates, and certainly known by God. So that's going to be Proverbs chapter 31. What a wonderful chapter with a lot of good stuff in here. And that's going to do it for the book of Proverbs. I hope that the series of videos upon the book has been a help and a blessing unto you. So God bless, and Lord willing, we'll see you soon.